If Sicario was somewhat licensed into a Ubisoft game, then you'd likely be left with Ghost Recon Wildlands. What is immediately clear about Wildlands is that it isn't doing anything special or surprising, but that doesn't mean it's any less enjoyable as a tense and occasionally chaotic shooter that encourages you to apply thought, accuracy, and timing in a way that can be the difference between success and failure. Wildlands succeeds where it's most prominent. The harsh setting of 2019's Bolivia feels genuinely dangerous to traverse. It doesn't take much to blow your cover, and when that happens, reinforcements are flanking you almost immediately in gradually overwhelming numbers. As a result, your best approach is to deploy your drone to survey the area and synchronize your shots with your other 3 comrades in single player or cooperatively in order to complete an objective as covertly as possible. There is a real sense of satisfaction executing the perfect kill, especially in terms of its sound design, and it's thrilling to time your shots against moving targets or trying to avoid detection entirely. When you succeed, it reinforces the idea that you're part of a special elite operative team that has been sent behind enemy lines to eliminate the Mexican cartel's influence over the country. Yes, that's actually the premise. But when you fail and resort to all guns blazing, the game makes it very apparent that you're not a super soldier, as it only takes a few shots to put you on the ground. The balance between feeling like a skillful soldier and feeling the limits of your exposure in hostile territory makes the game constantly suspenseful when you're effectively penalized for making a tactical error. You feel vulnerable, and simple mechanics such as turning off your vehicle's headlights at night to avoid enemy checkpoints or ducking into prone to dodge a helicopter patrol enhances the open world experience. This is also further accentuated by the realism of its design. You aren't controlling futuristic robots or seeing through walls, but rather your tools and arsenal are simplified to basic essentials such as night vision or a battery-powered drone. You don't feel resourceful or well equipped, which helps to accentuate your secret presence in Bolivia and how government support would ultimately be compromising. You can get the rebels to assist you, but the lack of proper military intervention stops the game from turning into another mindless action shooter as you resort to careful decisions in combat. Yet, other than the regular sense of threat imposed by the game's world, the level design isn't particularly remarkable. Bolivia is a nice setting, sure, and there is enough location variety to reduce environmental fatigue, but the game lacks the curiosity, interaction, or surprise found in other tactical shooters such as Metal Gear Solid 5. The game suffers from soulless design as enemy and building variety and placement is largely the same, with some models having proportional or flat texture issues that break the immersion entirely. And this becomes more apparent when you're essentially doing the same objectives constantly. Your main aim is to break down the hierarchy of the cartel to get closer to the bosses at the center of it all, similar to games like Mafia 3 and Crackdown. Much like Crackdown, Wildland doesn't restrict which of the leaders you go after first, but there's nothing strange or startling about them bar a simple video description about their role within the cartel. There is some presence to them, but with all their generic archetypical features aside, their Tarantino-esque appearance seems out of place in a game that is predominantly grounded in realism. It feels more like an attempt to inject personality into a largely hollow story. It simply serves to justify your existence within the world, and with the lack of variation after many hours of play, you start to grow detached from how intimidating and dangerous the game wants you to believe its villains are. Side objectives, on the other hand, have legitimate purpose if you choose to follow them. Helping rebels and searching for specific resources help upgrade your gear to make you an ever so slightly more effective fighter. But once you find a loadout that suits you, the arsenal becomes largely redundant. Ghost Recon Wildlands has clear intentions in both its aesthetic and emotional quality. It strips away all the futuristic gimmicks in favour of a more intimate experience that works in favour of the game's simplistic, if indeed rather inconsistent design. It isn't adding a new spin to the tactical shooter genre, but instead consolidates why many Tom Clancy games have that stimulating edge over other military franchises on the market. While it might be missing a sense of identity and creativity, it doesn't stop the game from capturing the thrill of being a ghost coasting its way through a wild and treacherous landscape.